Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Enjoy complimentary access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection and apply to find out your welcome offer, which could be as high as 300,000 membership rewards points. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Terms apply. Welcome offers vary, and you may not be eligible for an offer. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Hello, horror fans. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Eleanor.
And welcome to the very first Horror Sandbox Q&A episode, where we dig up some answers to listener questions.
That's right. And I am so excited for this. You guys sent in some great questions, and we cannot wait to dig in.
Yes, so let's do it. Eleanor, what is our first question?
Okay, we got lots of questions about specific movie requests. So what can we say about this, Charlie?
Yeah, so this is a big one. I can tell you guys, so we have a huge list of movies that we want to do. Actually, before we even decided how we wanted to do a podcast, we just made a huge list of movies we wanted to talk about, and it literally grows every day. And one other thing to note is by the time the episode airs, we have a schedule set, usually for the next 3 weeks or so. There is some wiggle room for switching around episodes in that time, but we're normally a couple ahead. We have been considering different ways to get listeners involved in voting for upcoming episodes. So we might do this through something like Patreon, but we haven't decided exactly yet. If you have any feedback on that, we'd love to hear it. But bottom line, please keep sending us your requests, either through email or just comments on social media, because we do read those and we take them into account and make notes of which ones you guys are asking for. But if you want to know what the next episode will be, follow us on Instagram and TikTok and watch for the teasers every Tuesday for a clue about Wednesday's episode.
So yeah, that's definitely a fun little guessing game you guys can play along with if you're so inclined. I'll also say for brand new movies, so movies that are still in theater, it's a little difficult for us to go to a movie theater and take as detailed notes as we want without getting kicked out of the theater. The amount of reading and writing that we do about each episode means that we can't necessarily turn it around as quickly as maybe we could if this was our full-time job for both of us. So it does take us some time. All that to say, yes, we have read the, I don't know, hundreds of comments at this point about wanting us to do Obsession. And we hear you. We hear you. Give us some time.
Yeah, we're doing our best, we promise. But all right, here's another one. Dear Horror Sandbox, are you an AI podcast?
Not only no, but fuck no. Now, we did talk about this a bit in the Heretic episode, but it's worth repeating. Not only are we not an AI podcast, we do not use generative AI at any point of our creative process, nor will we. The person who did our logo did not use it to make that art. It isn't in our theme song. It isn't in our writing. None of it. And I'll say this. I think it's healthy to be skeptical of new media when you see it because AI slop is everywhere. But it's not here, and it never will be for as far as anything that we have creative control over.
Yes. And to add to that, the whole reason we started this podcast was because we wanted to chat about horror movies, because we love talking about horror movies. So there's no way in hell we would let a robot do that for us. So, yeah.
Absolutely not. No clankers here.
So our next question is, why can't we see your faces on any of your content?
Gee, I wonder why women on the internet might be careful about posting themselves. Okay, but seriously, we have been talking about it. That's something we might look at maybe in the future. We weren't super interested in it when we first started, mostly because full transparency here, we're not really working out of a slick studio, and none of y'all need to see my laundry drying on the rack behind my head. But who knows? As we grow, we might be able to upgrade a little bit and provide some more visuals, but we'll see.
Yeah, no promises, but it could be something fun we dabble with in the future. And also, we've said this before, but if you do follow our social media, there's at least one post where you can see one of us, or at least parts of us. So do with that information what you will.
Bwahaha. Okay, next question. And this is a good one. What horror media of any type has had the most lasting impact on you individually?
Oh gosh. So I have so many answers to this that it's really hard for me to pick. So I think I'm going to go back to little baby Charlie. And this is silly, but when I was a little kid, my mom or my dad, I don't know who, got me this cassette tape. Yes, a cassette tape of spooky Halloween stories, but definitely didn't QC it because it was just some guy reading Edgar Allan Poe stories. So I was like, I don't know, 6, 7, maybe 8, listening to Edgar Allan Poe with my cousin and my brother. And we used to sit in my house that I grew up in that I swear is haunted, but that's a story for another day. And we would listen to those tapes and we would freak ourselves out. And I had these like porcelain dolls in the back of my closet in my bedroom. And we would stare at them and we would convince ourselves that they were moving while we were listening to Edgar Allan Poe. But I think the one I most distinctly remember listening to was a retelling of The Pit and the Pendulum. And you can literally, there's like background noise of a voice actor like moaning and screaming and breathing heavily as the pendulum slowly cuts into him. And it's just like, for a little child, it was a lot. And I loved it. I don't know why. And then I think on top of living off like that cassette tape and then a mixture of the cartoon Courage the Cowardly Dog, which is probably still my favorite anything ever in the world. It gives me such nostalgia. And like reading books, like A Series of Unfortunate Events or Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, like as a very young child, I've just been chasing that high of dark media ever since.
I love that. You reminded me, I guess I have two answers for this because when you bring up the nostalgia piece, what I immediately thought of was Goosebumps, like the books and
Yes.
yeah, the show and everything. I loved Goosebumps to the point that my parents started buying me like Christian versions of Goosebumps.
No.
Yes.
What? Like the angels coming on you?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
God.
It didn't take.
That's so funny. I'll say mine was Are You Afraid of the Dark? If I had to choose one, I liked Are You Afraid of the Dark over the Goosebumps. And the one where they get drowned by the invisible monster in the pool. Me and my cousin couldn't swim alone in a pool until we were like in our 20s.
Well, maybe it saved your life.
Perhaps it
Yeah.
did. Anyway, what are yours?
Well, so like I said, Goosebumps for the nostalgia bit. And then my serious answer is I have to go with the 1991 movie Silence of the Lambs, based on Thomas Harris's 1988 novel. So Hannibal Lecter. Horror, of course, is subjective. And like we've talked about on the show, when you see it in your life can strongly influence how you experience it. I saw this movie as a teenager, and looking back, I think this one influenced me a lot as far as what I understood movies could even be, and it shaped my appreciation for darker stories. But I also have to acknowledge, I think that shaping started with Goosebumps and similar media.
I mean, Silence of the Lambs is a classic, and I don't know I don't know that I knew that about you, and so I've probably never told you this, but that's my mom's favorite movie, so I guess creepiness runs in the family.
Every time you give me a fact about your mom, I'm like, this lady is cool.
She's a unique character, but yes, she's pretty cool. So our next question is, what is one piece of horror media that you think everyone should experience at least once?
I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to give you multiple answers that I'm technically counting as one. So here it is. If the title of the movie or show has something to do with a house, a haunt, and or a hill, watch it. Starting with the 1959 film House on Haunted Hill, which stars one of the original Scream daddies himself, Vincent Price. And then moving on to the 1999 film The Haunting with Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Owen Wilson, and Lily Taylor. That is based on the 1963 novel by Shirley Jackson called Haunting of Hill House. And then, of course, I think everybody should watch Mike Flanagan's Netflix series, The Haunting of Hill House, which is also based on the same Shirley Jackson novel. These are all very fun and sometimes downright terrifying and tragic, but what I like about this list in this order is that it's a good way to introduce people to the genre if they're not so sure about horror movies. You've got the Vincent Price movie that's a classic, but also kind of campy and just delightful. The 1999 movie is a lot scarier and more on the supernatural side. And then the Mike Flanagan series is tragic and terrifying and amazing. So there's something for everybody. And it's also, kind of taking place in different eras. So it's really fun to see the evolution of what audience viewed as scary and kind of what audiences were wanting.
I'm so glad that you brought up the Haunting of Hill House TV series because I almost went with that one. So I'm glad I chose something else and you were able to do that one because it's fantastic. One of my all-time favorites. And to keep on the theme here, my recommendations to listener is a book called House of Leaves, written by Mark Z. Danielewski. And I promise you, you will never read anything like this in your entire life. It is a wild ride, and I have never felt the way this book made me feel. It felt like I was on a fever dream the whole time. It's impossible to explain this book, but I'm going to try. It's about a man named Johnny, and he finds an academic text written by his dead blind neighbor. And the text he finds is about a documentary film called the Navidson Records, in which a man documents his house seemingly being bigger on the inside than it is the outside, which doesn't sound crazy, but turns out to be absolutely insane. So it's a story about an academic text about a documentary that doesn't exist. And as Johnny reads and researches the text, he slowly starts to go mad. And I'll kind of leave it at that. But the way this book is written is that as Johnny begins to unravel, so does the book. So there's footnotes, there's highlights, there's things written in shapes, upside down, sideways, references to real things, fake things, hidden codes. It's an insane and wonderful book. So, go stop everything you're doing right now and go buy this book immediately and read it, is my recommendation.
This is so funny. I hope you're not too disappointed with me. I have this book. I have started to read it, and I got confused and did not finish it. So, but it's one that I'm like, you know how sometimes you start a book and there's things in your life where you're like, I can't deal with this right now. I think my life
100%. Yes.
Yeah, so I wasn't in the place to try to engage with this particular book. So I think now I could. So I should go back and revisit it.
You should. And that's 100% valid. The first time I read this book, I started it, I think I got 200-ish pages in it, and I couldn't do it anymore. I also wasn't in the mental headspace because it is not an easy read in any way. It is literally, there's 3 different written stories in this one book. So it's very hard to kind of follow and it gets wild. So you have to be in the right mental headspace for it. But when you are, you just get sucked in and it's fantastic. I think from when I started it to when I finished it was like a 2-year journey of putting it down and coming back to it later. So.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a fun question. What is the hardest part about doing the show?
I mean, overall, I love this show and I love doing it, but I think balancing mom life with horror movie life is kind of difficult. It's not exactly something you could do at the same time. So sometimes my daughter will walk into a room with her eyes covered and ask if I'm watching one of my scary mommy movies.
Oh, that is so cute. Oh my God.
I know. Or our living room and her bedroom are very close to each other. So she'll hear me turn a movie on and she'll be like, "Is that one of your scary movies?" And I'm like, "I'm so sorry." So I typically find myself watching these movies in the dark at 11 p.m., after everyone else has fallen asleep, basically on silent with the subtitles on so I don't wake everyone up while I scramble to write notes down before my newborn wakes up to eat. And it's a lot. And I typically to do all the research and take the notes that I do. I watch these movies 2 to 5 times depending on the movie. So it's an interesting balance for sure, but I still love it. It's just hard to balance sometimes.
Definitely the balancing thing is hard. We both love doing this so much and we want to do it right, and that requires time. So we have to find that balance. But other than that, for me, the hardest part is not talking to Charlie about the episode that we are about to do before we record it. We talk every day, texting and on the phone. And sometimes I'm just so excited to tell her something that I learned, or I want to ask, if she noticed something in a specific scene or specific elements about the film. And then I have to literally bite my tongue. And it's a real it's a real struggle. Like sometimes we'll be talking and we'll say, yeah, I finished my notes. I'm at this part or whatever. And then we'll want to launch into a discussion like, no, we have to save it for the pod. Save it for the pod. We want the listeners to get our discussions fresh and unrehearsed. So that's why we try to make it a rule that we don't talk about them until it's time to record.
It is. It is difficult. There was one that we've already recorded that when I was taking the notes for it, I was like manically pacing around my house and I had no one to talk about it with because you're the only one I talked to about this stuff. And I was like, I have to tell someone. And it was like 1 a.m. and
this was me with Heretic.
Yes.
I was going nuts because I wanted to tell you everything I was learning.
It is tough. Oh, man. Oh, okay. So this is a good one. What are your top 3 movies outside of the typical horror genre?
I have to tell you, I don't think I've ever answered this question consistently because I think it depends on my mood and who I'm talking to. So I had to really sit with this for a bit. And I was like, okay, I'm going to think about the movies that I think about the most often when I think about if they're my favorite or not. And I recognize that that is going to lend itself to kind of by default me picking older movies. And that's fine because I'll just further my credentials as an elder millennial by saying I love Constantine from 2005. I love The Boondock Saints from 1999. And I love Fight Club also from 1999. And listeners, the sound that you might hear that sounded like 1,000 voices crying out and then suddenly stopping was actually my husband being super mad that I still think Boondock Saints is a good movie. I don't care. This opinion and my Radiohead sounds like sad goats are his least favorite things about me, and now I've documented them for posterity.
I used to go to a horror movie quiz, and the people who ran the quiz hated the Boondock Saints. And yeah, I don't know why. I like it. It's a good movie.
People criticize it like it should be 2 different movies. I don't know, storytelling issues or whatever. But I mean, we said from the beginning we're not snobby film critics.
Not at all.
We're not here to turn our nose up and write like write an article for The Atlantic that uses entirely too many adjectives. Like that's not us. We're gonna tell you how we feel and how we're associating things with culture and with our own experiences and all that stuff. And I have to admit, a lot of this is just nostalgia. Like for me, it's just nostalgia. And I can accept that and say that these are some of my favorite movies, even if they're not for everybody.
100%. So actually, I had a hard time answering this question too. And I just kept thinking about it and it all went back to nostalgia for me too. And at first I wanted to cheat and I wanted to just say the Lord of the Rings trilogy, because that's 3 movies. But of course, the extended edition. I will say that of the 3 movies, my personal favorite is A Fellowship of the Rings. I think it is the ultimate comfort movie. Like, I could just cuddle up and watch the first hour of that movie constantly and probably never get sick of it. It's like it if I had to guess, it's probably the roots of why I'm a Dungeons and Dragons and video game nerds. I just love everything about that trilogy. It's fantastic. Obsessed with it. And then in a similar vein, but not totally the same, I love A Knight's Tale. It's a fantastic movie. Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. And as I was writing this, I realized that the 3rd movie on my list really gives me away as like a hopeless romantic fantasy nerd. But my next favorite movie is The Princess Bride, because I'm pretty sure Wesley was my first true love besides like Legolas and Aragorn.
Oh my God, I love The Princess Bride. I almost put that as one of mine.
It's such a classic. It's so good.
It is so good. And when he's dressed as the Dread Pirate Roberts,
the mask. Some things never get old.
Oh, I think we figured something out, Charlie.
Shush.
All right. So speaking of masks, what is your favorite personal spooky experience?
Oh, this is a great one. And my family's going to love my shout out for this one. So my whole family is spooky. They've always been spooky. All my cousins like have some sort of spooky story. And there was one cousin who, she is exactly 10 years younger than me. I was babysitting her. And honestly, I think it was my first time babysitting like anyone. And it's her older brother, and then at the time, her younger brother who was a baby. And her mom, literally before this babysitting thing happened, she warned me that my little cousin had recently started talking to her deceased relatives. I'm not even joking.
Oh my God.
Right? So she answered a toy phone and just started chatting with her dead grandmother and and she knew all these details that have never been told to her. And then she also pointed to a picture of her dead uncle on the wall, said his name, and said that they play all the time. And so she was having these. I know, it's nuts. This cousin still claims that she can see ghosts and spirits and vibes to this day, which honestly, I'm here for it.
Okay. Does she think they're cats like I do?
She does not. She does
Ugh.
not. I know.
I'm in a
She's
fight with your
supposed
cousin.
You can. There's a whole nother story I'm sure I'll tell someday about the like man with a hat that lives in my grandma's house. It's a whole thing.
Oh. Oh, why?
There's so much. Anyway, I'll tell you about that later. This story specifically. So I'm babysitting her, and I get everyone to bed. She's in her room. The little cousin's upstairs. The older cousin's asleep, and I'm sitting. I think I'm watching The Office, and I just hear her start screaming bloody murder. So I run into her room. She's sitting bolt right up in bed, hyperventilating. So I'm like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And she can't communicate with me. So I go out. I get her a glass of water. I come back. She's just stiff as a board, sitting in her bed, like pale as a ghost. And she says, "Where's Nadia?" And I said, "Who's Nadia?" And she goes, "Nadia's dead now." And just nonchalantly lays down in her bed and falls back asleep.
Oh, whoa.
Y- Yeah. So I'm shaken up. I go back to the room. I turn the office back on. I'm listening to it very loudly to try to distract myself from the dead Nadia in the house. But the baby's room was upstairs, pitch black, and my aunt had told me that some like supernatural stuff had been happening up there. All of a sudden, so Nadia's dead. I go back to watch The Office. I hear a voice over the baby monitor, and then the baby
No.
starts screaming.
No.
I'm not joking.
Oh my God, I got goosebumps.
This is 100% real. So I'm like, do I save the baby? Do I save myself? What do I do? I sprint up the stairs into the dead of night and just like or the pitch black and grab the baby out of the crib, run back downstairs, sit back in the now fully lit living room with the office on full blast, and I call my mom and I just am sobbing. I'm like, "You have to come get me right now."
Did she?
It was nuts. Yes. Well, eventually she was at like a bowling thing, I think, and I don't even know where my aunt was that I was babysitting for, but someone came. They heard my cries for help and they came like 20 to 30 minutes later and let me go home.
See, I'm putting this in my Charlie has a cool mom lore bucket.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, she has 3 sisters, and 2 of those 3 sisters all have their own ghost stories, so she knows we're all weird. So she came and bailed me out.
Does your cousin remember this?
I don't think she remembers that exact moment. Like we talk about Nadia all the time, but she doesn't remember that moment. She's said plenty of other ghost stories to us. But I could sit here for 3 hours and tell you my family ghost story lore. But she does not know who Nadia is. We never figured it out.
If only we had a podcast in which we could occasionally uncover these fun stories for you.
If only.
I can't wait.
Yes.
In a similar vein, I'll tell 2 stories for spooky stuff. One of them, though, it isn't that spooky except for, I don't know, the reality of it. So we've talked about my youngest with epilepsy. Because he has epilepsy, we have to watch when he has a fever. When he is not feeling well, he can have seizures. Well, I think it was last year or the year before, he was burning up with a fever, and we'd already given him medicine, but he was just wide awake in the middle of the night and just talking up a storm. And then he started talking about seeing skeletons crawling on the ceiling. Yeah. And he said, and he was laughing. He was like describing these skeletons to me. And I'm just like, okay, I like a wet cloth to try to calm him down. I was like, okay, it's fine. Just waiting for this medicine to kick in. Oh my God. And he's like, there's skeletons and they're crawling on the ceiling. And then he looks over and he's like, one of them's on Daddy's chest and he's jumping on Daddy's chest and and he's just cackling while he's telling me like these crazy stories about, yeah, it was looking back, it's funny. In the moment, I was like, oh God. Because if you're
Oh,
at the
there's
point, right, if you're at the point in a fever where you're hallucinating, like it can get real scary in real life very quickly. But it was fine. The medicine kicked in and he went to sleep and everything was fine.
That's
Um,
what I was gonna say. There's so many levels of scary to that. Your child having a fever so bad they're hallucinating and the skeletons dancing on your husband's chest. Wild.
have you ever hallucinated from a fever?
Not a fever. There's actually one time when I was pregnant that I ended up spending 20 plus hours at the hospital and I didn't eat the whole time I was there and they didn't hook me up to fluids. They gave me, long story, they gave me beta blockers for it. So I came home, I took a beta blocker, I laid down in bed and I hallucinated a small child floating in the room above me. But
Oh, that's terrifying.
yeah, but that's the only one I've ever had.
That's really scary. I have hallucinated once because of a fever, and it was the first and only time I had COVID. And it took me down very quickly. Like, I felt fine that morning. By lunchtime, I was feeling tired and like a headache. And 30 minutes later, I could barely walk. And I went to lay down. And then hours later, I woke up in a sweat and I couldn't really move. Like, I felt very tired and weak. And suddenly, I could feel something in the mattress moving. I became convinced there were snakes in the mattress.
Oh no.
Yeah, to the point where I managed to get my phone and call my husband and I made him come check. And he participated in this delusion of mine. And then he just looked at me and said, "I'm going to get you some fucking Tylenol."
Oh. That's hilarious. Well, I'm glad he checked for you.
Yes, I appreciate, because I was not gonna be okay unless we confirmed that it was just my imagination or whatever. But the other one I'll say is shortly after my grandmother died, I had a really, really vivid dream about her. And in the dream, she woke up from the dead to give me a personal message. And as she was delivering this message, the entire world shook. It still kind of gives me chills to talk about this. So I did what all baddies do and got a tattoo about it.
Huh? That's crazy, and I've seen your tattoo. I like it.
Yeah, it's sweet. I don't when people ask me about it, I'm just like, "Oh yeah, it's in memory of my grandmother." I don't give them that version of the story usually.
Hey, you gave me it because I'm special.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And listeners now get a hint of it, so.
There you go. So the next question we got is the child whispering at the end of your intro sequence. Is that one of your kids? I always think it's super adorable and creepy at the same time.
This clever listener. Yes, that adorable little whisper is from my youngest son. But I'll also tell you this, all of the kids' voices that you hear, the creepy laugh, the baby giggles, the whisper, the nursery rhyme, and if you listen very carefully, a deep voice vocalization. Those are all the voices of my kids and Charlie's kids. We hired someone to make the theme music for us because we are not musicians, but like we've mentioned, we want to do this right. We told him the general vibes of what we wanted, and we sent him recordings of our kids being creepy, and that's what he made. If you want to check him out, the artist's name is Brad Parsons, and his studio is linked on our website in the About section.
Yeah, and I was so thrilled the first time we heard this song because as we were recording, like the baby giggles and my daughter just being nuts, I was like, how are they going to turn this into a song? And he did an amazing job. And I just grinned to myself that entire night just thinking about it. And I just love that our family's incorporated into our little horror song.
Yeah, it's very cool. I adore your daughter's cackles that made it into that theme song. I love it so much.
I know, they're so funny. When because we were like, ooh, a creepy laugh. And she did that wild cackle. And I was like, this is not it. But it worked. So
No, it's perfect. I love it. I'll also say I told my kids that a listener had asked about the theme song and if it was our kids. And my littlest two jumped around the house. And I haven't told you this yet, Charlie, but they
aw.
jumped around and they screamed, "We're famous! We're famous!" They were
They
so
are
cute.
so cute. That's adorable. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's very sweet. Okay, so I think the last question we'll do is this one. Does your podcast have full videos with visuals like the shorts you have on YouTube?
This one it's close to my heart because I love making the shorts that I make, and I would love to make them into full videos with visuals. And I find so much joy in making those clips and just finding the right movie clips and pictures that fit our conversations to either aid listeners in seeing our descriptions or just like add little funny visuals. And it's been a blast. But this podcast is literally run by just myself, Eleanor, and some help from our families at the moment. And I'm sure you've noticed we put a lot of details in our research, and we're balancing this with our personal lives and full time jobs as best as we can. We never expected to receive as much love as quickly as we did for this podcast, and we're currently just not primed to meet the demand of full video visuals. However, as we grow and get more comfortable in our format and maybe add to the team, it's something I definitely want to explore doing for you all. So stay tuned, stay patient. Hopefully, we'll make full videos one day.
Yeah, we would be absolutely thrilled to do it. And as we grow, we're definitely keeping this in mind. But the other thing, too, is we don't want to spread ourselves too thin too fast. I think Charlie would appreciate the Lord of the Rings reference, butter over too much toast. We don't want to do that to the point where we start putting out lower quality content or, burn ourselves out. We really love this. It's a passion of ours, and we don't want to stop loving it. So we are trying to pace ourselves.
Exactly. But okay, this was so much fun. Hopefully, we could do another in a few months, but who knows? I think that does it for us today, though. So, listeners, may the horrors persist.